Kind of just want to kick things off first with this weightlifting analogy that I came up with that I kind of like. And yeah, if you haven't if you don't recognize this movement, it's essentially an Olympic weightlifting movement called the clean and jerk. Now, when you see an athlete perform this, it looks like a reasonably, well, not simple, but quite a fluid, clean movement where they're essentially just lifting the weight off the floor and getting it above their head, right? Now, I think this is quite a good analogy for training, because when someone is kind of at that pro level and they have simplified their strategy into something that makes sense to them, when you see them perform that, right, it just looks like they're clicking buy and sell and it looks relatively effortless. But actually, it came from understanding or having quite a complex understanding of the complex parts that goes into that one fluid movement, right? Knowing how to deadlift, the clean, the front squat and the overhead press. Everyone wants to just jump into the fancy stuff, doing the front squat or getting that weight above their head. But if you haven't laid that solid foundation, doing the deadlift, just doing the boring stuff, right? Just picking the weight off the floor, none of that other stuff that follows on from then, is gonna work. Or you might be able to do it initially when you've got fuck all weight on the bar. But as soon as you start to put serious weight on there, if you haven't nailed the deadlift, if you haven't absolutely nailed your technique, what's going to happen? Well, you're either not going to move it or you're going to pull your back out, right? So I think this is a pretty good analogy for trading, that if you nail market structure and if you really have a solid way of doing that you can consistently map it, everything within your business will follow from there on, your trading business, right? Supply and demand, liquidity, whatever confluence you use in your strategy, entries and management come last. First, you need to build that solid foundation. So that's kind of my little rant for kind of trying to drill home the importance of just why I think nailing market structure is so important.